I already knew Margaritaville at Sea had a reputation, a budget cruise with a big personality and lots of mixed reviews. But after sailing the Paradise, I realized some people might be missing the point because I actually had a good time. So when the Islander launched with longer sailings, upgraded spaces, and promises of a more traditional cruise experience, I'll admit I was curious. Was this a true evolution of the brand or just the Paradise in a bigger body? What I found surprised me. Some moments felt surprisingly refined, and others leaned hard into themed escapism. But more than anything, this cruise left me thinking about how different types of travelers will see this ship in very different ways. If you're considering the Islander, stick around because I'm sharing the good, the bad, and everything I wish I'd known before stepping on board. Hey y'all, I'm Evan with Family at Sea, where we help make every cruise unforgettable. In today's video, I'm taking a closer look at the Margaritaville at Sea Islander, a ship that's turning heads for all kinds of reasons. If you've heard the buzz, seen the photos, or are just trying to figure out whether this is more than a floating theme party, you're in the right place. In this video, I'll break down what the Islander gets surprisingly right and what still feels a bit off. The entertainment, dining, and family-friendly surprises that genuinely impressed me, and the one question that kept coming up all week: who is this cruise actually for? So stick around as I give you the full picture, from the standout moments to the honest frustrations, so you can decide if the Islander is the kind of escape you're looking for. If you're ready, I am. Let's go. The Islander is the second ship in the Margaritaville at Sea fleet, and it is a major step up from the Paradise in both size and ambition. Originally launched all the way back in 2000 as the Costa Atlantica, the ship was transferred in early 2020 to a Chinese joint venture with Carnival, but she never entered service there and sat idle for several years before being resold in 2023 to Margaritaville at Sea. After a significant renovation, she finally set sail as the Islander in June 2024. The Islander comes in at just over 85,000 gross tons and carries around 2,100 guests at double occupancy with a max capacity close to 2,650. The ship features 12 passenger decks and offers a solid mix of open air spaces, cozy lounges, and entertainment venues. Margaritaville at Sea didn't completely gut the ship during the renovations, but they didn't just phone it in either. From the redesigned flip-flop atrium and pool decks to refreshed staterooms and all new dining venues, this is a ship that's been given a new identity without completely erasing its past. And while you'll still find plenty of tropical theming and Buffett-inspired branding, the Islander feels more like a real cruise ship that's been given a makeover rather than a floating theme park trying to play cruise line. One of the biggest selling points for the Islander is their pricing. Compared to most mainstream cruise lines, Margaritaville at Sea offers a level of affordability that's hard to beat, especially for families, new cruisers, or anyone looking for a fun, low-stress vacation. For 7-night sailings for 2 people, you can expect to pay around $800 to $1,200 for an interior cabin, $1,000 to $1,300 for ocean views, $1,400 to $1,800 for balconies, and $3,000 to $6,000 for suites, depending on the room size and itinerary. But unlike most cruise lines that stick to the same week-long loop over and over, the Islander offers a variety of sailing lengths. So if you're looking at shorter itineraries, you can find deals that are even cheaper than what I just mentioned. They also offer an amazing Hero Sail Free program for military, first responders, teachers, and healthcare professionals that offers these hard-working folks an opportunity to sail for free, only covering the cost of taxes and port fees. It's an incredible opportunity, but space is limited and these sailings book up fast, so if you do qualify, you're going to want to keep an eye out and jump on those the moment they pop up. For those of you who don't qualify for their Heroes Sail Free program, well, I usually send folks to my partners at Cruises It. For Margaritaville at Sea, there's one person I trust most: Kimberly at ET Family Travel. She knows this cruise line inside and out and has helped tons of travelers get the best value with zero stress. I'll include an email address on screen in the description below so you can reach out directly and get started. Alright, enough small talk. Let's talk about what genuinely impressed me because there was a lot. There's a certain energy you feel when a cruise ship has a crew that actually loves what they do. An Islander has it in spades. From the dining rooms to the pool decks to housekeeping and entertainment, the crew across this entire ship delivered consistently warm, attentive service that made everything on board feel smoother, friendlier, and more enjoyable. I've sailed on lines that pride themselves on 5-star hospitality, and this team easily holds their own. My room steward Prati was proactive without ever being intrusive, one of those rare people who always seems to know what you need before you even ask. And a surprising point for Margaritaville here, while it seems like just about every mainstream cruise line has gotten rid of turn-down service, they still do it on Margaritaville at sea, so you can look forward to your sheets being pulled back and fresh towels in your room in the evenings. And in the main dining room, Angeline somehow turned every dinner into an experience. I've never looked forward to seeing a server more, and I genuinely hope she stays with the brand long enough to become a legend because she is hands down the best server I've ever had in any restaurant on the open seas. But it wasn't just them. Across the board, the service culture on the Islander feels dialed in, and that's not easy to pull off on a ship this size with this many moving parts. Whether it was bartenders remembering your name or activity staff making first-time cruisers feel at home, this crew was the heartbeat of the entire experience. Food was another area that truly surprised me. Cheeseburger in Paradise serves up smash burgers that are juicy, flavorful, and rival the legendary Guy's Burgers on Carnival. They're quick, satisfying, and hit exactly the kind of casual cruise food craving you hope it will. In the Finns and Islander dining rooms, the main dining room fare was honestly more consistent than I've had on some more premium cruise lines. It's got good variety, well-executed dishes, and a laid-back environment that didn't feel rushed. Combine that with the level of service I mentioned earlier, and it made dinner something to look forward to each and every night. And for families like us, the ship also delivers big in terms of family-friendly fun. There are 3 different pools, one of which is adults only, giving both families and couples room to spread out. The water slide adds some adrenaline without turning the Lido deck into a water park. There's a mini golf course, cornhole, an arcade, and even a playpad for toddlers, which was a thoughtful touch I honestly didn't expect. And entertainment stood out for all the right reasons. The in-house production shows in the Stars on the Water Theater were genuinely fantastic. They had tight choreography, strong vocals, and an infectious energy that you don't always get on lower cost cruise lines. Honestly, they were every bit as entertaining as shows I've seen on ships with far bigger budgets like Royal Caribbean. The headliner acts like the magician and comedian were nothing special but still enjoyable, and a huge part of the overall energy came from cruise director Orlando Magic, who was a total standout. He has this rare ability to make everyone feel like they're part of the cruise, not just watching it happen. Whether he was hosting a game show, leading trivia, or just walking around chatting with guests, he brought a level of warmth and enthusiasm that made the whole ship feel more connected. I also really enjoyed the Coral Reef Lounge on Deck 1, and this is an easy spot to miss, but it became one of my favorite hangouts for trivia, game shows, and casual events. The space is comfortable, the layout is great, and it has that kind of laid-back vibe you want after a packed day. The most iconic space on the ship, though, is the flip-flop atrium, and it absolutely nails the Margaritaville vibe without overdoing it. There's a great bar here, live music throughout the day, and in the evenings it transforms into a full-on event space with photo ops, interactive experiences, and some of the best live music on the ship. It's vibrant without being chaotic, and it felt like the social hub the Islander was designed around. One of the most comfortable spots on board was the Havana Daydream and Sports Bar, though Sports Bar doesn't really do it justice. It's more of a classic cruise lounge with cozy seating, rich tones, and a calm, inviting atmosphere. The bartenders here were fantastic, and it became my go-to spot to unwind, have a drink, and enjoy some peace without disconnecting entirely from the vibe of the ship. And one more spot worth mentioning is the Bubbles Up Lounge, where they had some of the best piano music you'll find on the open seas, where the music takes on a life of its own as people sing along and enjoy the over-the-top champagne-infused bubble drinks. The St. Somewhere Spa wasn't much to look at, but don't let that plain interior fool you. I booked a Swedish massage, but when I got in the room, my therapist Tatata recommended her specialty, a deep tissue massage. She said she was classically trained both in Thailand and abroad in the Netherlands. While I was initially hesitant, as if you've had them, you know deep tissue massages can sometimes be more painful than relaxing, I decided to go with her recommendation, and I'm so happy I did. This was an entirely different level of precision and care, and it was honestly honestly the best massage I've ever had, on land or at sea. In fact, it was so good I booked it a second time before the cruise was over. I walked out feeling like I just reset my entire body. Now, as for nightlife, I made a point to check out the hot nightclub. Not because it's my thing, because it's not, but because I know some of you love a late night party, and the vibe was fun, lively, and full of positive energy. Everyone in that club looked like they were exactly where they wanted to be. It was upbeat, inclusive, and refreshingly free of the kind of rowdy behavior that can sometimes ruin the experience for others. If nightlife is your thing, you're gonna find a lot to like here. And then there's the Far Side of the World Lounge, which somehow manages to combine karaoke, trivia, and sushi all in one space. It sounds chaotic, but somehow it works. It's quirky, casual, and full of character, and you never really know what's happening there next. And that's what makes it fun. All in all, there were a lot of moments on the Islander that caught me off guard in the best way. For a ship that doesn't try to compete with the luxury lines or the mega resorts at sea, it manages to carve out its own lane, offering a fun, relaxed, and surprisingly memorable cruise experience. Of course, not everything was perfect. There were a few areas that didn't quite live up to the rest of the experience, and that's what we'll get into next. Even with all the highlights, there were a few things that didn't quite measure up, and depending on your priorities, these might be minor annoyances or complete deal breakers. First, the buffet is a mess. Not just the layout, which felt cramped and awkward, but the food itself was inconsistent at best. Breakfast was fine if you stuck to the basics, but lunch and dinner rarely delivered anything memorable. It was one of the few spaces on board that still feels like it's stuck in the past, and not in a nostalgic kind of way. Specialty dining is also limited. Outside of takeaway options like Farside Sushi, Cheeseburger in Paradise, Mexican Cutie Cantina, and island food, the only true specialty venue is JWB Prime Steakhouse. And on this sailing, it fell flat. Service was extremely slow, and my medium rare steak showed up looking more well done, but likely not from overcooking, but because it sat in the window too long. And I'll be honest, I've had amazing experiences at JWB on the Paradise twice, so this could have just been an off night, but it was one of the most disappointing moments of the cruise because I know how excellent their steaks can be, and to have that experience was just disappointing. But the good news is, if you get a better server than I had that night, you're gonna have a great experience because I know they only order the best cuts of steak. The Fins Up Fitness Center is honestly one of the saddest gyms I've ever seen on a cruise ship. I'm sorry guys, but it is tiny, under-equipped, and tucked away in a space that feels more like a forgotten storage room than a functional workout area. Now the path there is kind of fun as you head down the A1A, which is an area many people probably don't even discover on the ship. But if staying active on vacation matters to you, just know you'll be working with a bare minimum here. Another thing to mention is that sea days around the pools definitely got crowded. That's pretty common on the vast majority of cruise ships, but this felt a bit more packed than usual. By mid-morning, most chairs were already claimed, and it was packed elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder throughout the entire pool deck. So it was honestly an area that I avoided on sea days because of how crowded it was, but if you love high energy at the Lido deck, then this is going to be right up your alley. Another definite pain point was guest services. The lack of a formal line or rope system here created an awkward, frustrating environment. People kept butting ahead of those of us waiting patiently in line, and guest services either decided to allow it to avoid conflict, or they simply didn't pay attention to realize these people were rudely butting in front of the rest of us. And while I genuinely loved the shows in the Stars on the Water theater, the Caribbean Heat Remix production show felt too familiar. While it's an upgrade from the original Caribbean Heat show on the Paradise, it's about 90% the same. So if you've already sailed on the Paradise, it feels more like a rerun than a fresh performance. None of these issues were deal breakers for me though, but it's something you're going to want to know before you book. For every standout moment the Islander delivers, there's a few rough edges that remind you this isn't a brand trying to be perfect, it's a brand trying to be fun. Depending on what kind of cruiser you are, that trade-off may actually work in your favor. If there's one thing that stood out more than anything else on this cruise, it's how differently people seem to experience the Islander, and how much that came down to expectations. Some guests clearly came on board looking for a laid-back escape. They dressed up a little for dinner, caught the shows, played trivia, and sipped cocktails in quiet lounges. Others were there for something much more casual, flip-flops everywhere, partying by the pool, and snapping selfies with drink in hand. And both groups seemed equally happy. The Islander doesn't try to push you in one direction or the other, and there's no high-pressure upsell to formal nights or specialty restaurants. At the same time, it's not a wild free-for-all either. You've got a themed cruise brand that's grown up a bit, paired with a ship that was originally designed for a very different audience. And that pairing creates a vibe unlike anything else at sea. You can see it in the entertainment lineup. You'll go from a high-energy production show to a mellow piano set in a tucked-away lounge. You'll walk from a family-friendly atrium packed with live music and dancing into the low-lit hemisphere dancer bar where people are quietly sipping cocktails and enjoying the moment. It's like the ship is offering two parallel experiences depending on what you're looking for. And that's not a flaw, it's a feature. The Islander isn't trying to be everything to everyone like some cruise ships. It's carving out a niche that blends cruise tradition with island escapism. And whether or not that works for you depends entirely on what kind of vacation you're after. For me, it worked. Not because everything was perfect, but because it was easy to settle into a rhythm, unplug, and enjoy the ride without feeling like the ship was trying too hard to entertain me. So after everything, the standout moments, the quirks, the unexpected wins, would I sail the Islander again? Absolutely. Between some of the best crew I've ever encountered, entertainment that kept me genuinely engaged, and a ship that delivers real cruise vibes without trying to be something it's not, the Islander impressed me in ways I didn't expect. It's not perfect. The buffet needs work. The gym feels like an afterthought. And if you're looking for luxury or cutting-edge innovation, this probably isn't your ship. But if you're looking for a cruise that's fun, relaxed, and refreshingly unpretentious, with solid food, a crew that actually cares, and entertainment that delivers night after night, it's hard to argue with the value the Islander brings to the table. More than anything, this cruise reminded me that affordable doesn't have to mean cheap. And Margaritaville at sea, for all its branding and beach bum marketing, is slowly building something that blends classic cruise charm with its own playful twist. Now the good news, if this is the direction Margaritaville at sea is headed, they're on the right track. But the bad news, you're gonna want to see it for yourself. And that's why I filmed every day on board, from standout meals to surprise moments and everything in between, over on our second channel, Family at Sea Adventures. So if you want the full behind the scenes look at what it's really like to sail the Islander, that's where you'll find it. If you're ready, I am. Let's go.